Get ready to quit the build.
Here we go.
The QTB crew is rounding up all the gaming news and hot topics of the week with a little extra something. And here are your hosts, Bruno, Brad, and Nick.
What it do? You're listening to the QTB Podcast. I'm your host, Bruno, and with me, the Brothers McMuffins. It's Brad. It's Nick. We're here. What it do, boys?
What's going on?
What's going on? Happy Fat Tuesday, aka Happy Mardi Gras.
Yes.
In the house.
Hey.
I hope everyone's having a good night, having a hurricane, having a Sazerac, having some king cake. I hope everyone's having a good night because you know I am. I'm a big fan. I celebrate each year, even though I'm out on the West Coast. I'm not down in New Orleans, but hey, it's Mardi Gras. Have a good night. It's Fat Tuesday. Enjoy yourself.
More like party
That's what
gras,
I'm
am I
saying.
right? That's all I
There
got.
you go.
I think they're changing it to Thick Tuesday.
Oh,
with two C's.
Ooh. Right. The two C's. That's
Yep,
that's
that's
the new term.
today's. See, back in the '90s, we would call it Fat PHAT.
Oh, I
Which,
remember
that when everything was fat back in the '90s.
Everything was fat. Yeah,
Even Jinko jeans.
well,
Nick,
they were quite. Yeah, they were.
They
were
are making a
actually,
comeback.
Like, chunky.
I
Yeah,
swear.
you keep
Jinko,
saying that.
and they're gonna. Bruno Stradamus has called a lot of things in his time, and I gotta tell you, you are gonna see the comeback of Jinko jeans. Wait till the kids see him. The kids just haven't seen him. Just wait till they see him. Wait till Gen Z and the subsequent generation hears about Jinko jeans.
Yeah,
It'll be like when bell bottoms came back,
I'm ready.
or
I'm
Pet
ready.
Rocks.
Oh yes. Now Pet Rocks we
that?
can definitely bring back. Like that's
I'm
just
waiting
dumb
for
enough
Chia
to
Pets.
come back. Yeah.
I want
They
you
never
to
left,
make a
Brad.
roundabout.
Have you been to your local Walmart? When was the last time you perused the home garden section of
It's like a Walgreens thing, really. You know, they always have the
It's been a
Chia
minute.
Pets. For whatever reason, like there's always a Chia Pet within eyesight when you're at a
Can we-
Walgreens.
Can we
Right.
just be honest for 1 second? If I'm going to Walmart, I'm not perusing the garden section, okay?
No?
Like, that's not why I'm going to Walmart.
You're not a
You're
garden
missing
man?
out on a whole
No.
plethora,
No,
a
I'm a garden
cornucopia,
man.
if you will, of,
But I'm
of
saying-
items that you would not normally get at a
We
normal
can save this
store.
for Quit the Build Nights, but I'm definitely Walmart's not in my top 3 for home garden
Ooh.
stores, okay?
The retail episode?
We're not going to do a whole dang episode on home garden stores. It's got to be better than that. It's going to have to capture my attention. Like, what's the turnover rate of a Spirit of Halloween coming into a former home and garden store?
They just take 'em
that
over
shut
faster and
down
faster.
garden.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, get us back on track. What are we talking
come
about
on,
today?
man. We're having fun. That's what matters. Well, welcome in, guys. We're here to talk, of course, about the latest gaming news. And, honestly, there's a lot to get to. There's actually been quite a few big breaking stories as of today that we're going to be getting to a little bit later. We're going to talk about Angry Birds, the original game, believe it or not, getting delisted or just shuffled around in a way that I think is pretty concerning for the gaming industry and game preservation in general, which is a topic that comes up quite a bit. And after that, we'll also talk about the Xbox games that are coming soon to GeForce NOW, a surprising collaboration considering that Microsoft already has a big share of the market there with the xCloud service. But of course, before we get into that, guys, we like to talk about what we always do every week, which we go around the horn and we talk about what you've been playing, right? So, Bruno, now that the stinger is complete, I can officially enter the segment. What you been playing?
Oh man, Nick, I have been playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some Legend of Zelda, and I'm about to dive into Metroid Prime Remastered. I'm kind of waiting for my GameCube controller, the one that was sold out and all that kind of stuff. It's supposed to be coming very soon, and I want to experience it on that, right? Like that would be the perfect way to experience the new modern control with the updated GameCube controller. So I'm really looking forward to that. But I've been enjoying a lot of RPGs lately, and I think it's great to be able to play a game at your own pace.
Yeah.
Or play it as you want to play it. It's something that, especially as I get older and less competitive in terms of like, what I aim to do in any shooter, then I just want to have fun, right? I'm that girl at the Super Bowl who's like, I hope both teams just have fun. I hope everyone has a great time and everyone can get along. Right? Exactly.
Go sports. Go sports. Go sportsmanship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Brad, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, what have you been doing, Brad?
How do I follow that?
I don't think you can. I think that
I've been actually
fired
diving
on all
into
cylinders.
Every single one.
You did. You were on point. We got a it was like a mixed set of board games for the Switch. It was like Risk, Monopoly. There's a handful of them that came like as a combo set as a game. And so my wife and I have been doing some 2-player board game playing, but on the Switch, which has been great because no pieces, nothing physical to pick up. You can pause and resume your game whenever you want. And so we've been playing some Risk, some really Monopoly is great because it's like the board comes to life, especially when you build a house or build a hotel, and the way you interact and roll on the board. And so it's been fun to actually kind of like revisit traditional physical board games in a digital way. And so we've been playing some Risk and some Monopoly, and it's been a lot of fun.
Awesome. I mean, I'm down for a board game that's I think honestly some of the newer board games that have come out in digital form are actually quite good. Ubisoft, there's some online issues, like if you're trying to play with someone remotely, but as far as like local and party play goes, you really can't beat.
It's great.
There's so many rule variations that you can come up with, or even like custom rules, and themes too. I think there's definitely a golden age right now where if you enjoy board games, there's a million ways to play it. Not just that, they have the that tabletop simulator that was especially popular during the pandemic, still is, that you can just play, reimagined versions of games, or just literally have a remote desktop table to play on.
And don't get me wrong, I still love playing a good like physical board game, like pulling out the pieces, whether it's cards or Life, Monopoly, something where you're really getting your hands involved. It's visually pleasing as you're playing, but to sit back one night when you don't want to like deal with the complexity of moving pieces or doing the math, these things do it for you, right? Oh, yep, it subtracted the dollars for me. I didn't have to exchange anything. I just click a button and it does the transaction and I'm good, right?
Yeah.
So the comfort and simplicity of some of that about having these games be digital on your platform makes it really fun and easy to do and kick back. And we played half a game and we paused it and then instant resume, pick it right back up where we left off. So that's what I've been playing lately. It's been a nice change of pace.
Nice. Well, as usual, when I'm not streaming games, which, by the way, we have a huge thing coming up this week because Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe comes out on Friday. We got done with the almost 100% playthrough of Kirby and the Forgotten Land last week.
Is Curbs Day moving to Friday this week?
Gots to do it, buddy. So we are we're swip swapping it out, and we're gonna try something new this week in that Thursday slot. We're gonna try Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. Just like Mario Kart, I got to give it to Nintendo. A lot of their first-party games have surprisingly robust community play features. And the one for Smash is you can create these like lobby areas where people can come in and join. And there's like 1v1s that happen, but you can also spectate and cheer people on and that kind of thing. So it'll be a really fun, just kind of winner keeps playing until they lose style thing. We'll try different formats out. We've had a lot of people asking for a Smash night, so I think we'll give it a try and see what happens. So if you want to support that, be sure to be here on Thursday when we stream that, and then of course Friday. I got out the Kirby. By the way, big shout out to Russell, aka Epic Capture Productions, sent me the Kirby costume, and so I put it on. I did a little dance for the promo video, and it's very roomy in there, I have to tell you.
Don't worry, Nick. One day your name will be synonymous with Kirby. You will be in the lore. And
I'm on my way.
Happen.
I'm already renaming DDD to Dale, like accidentally, but whoops.
He's gonna have a name tag.
Yeah,
I'm ready for it.
You're officially going to be recognized as someone who's created all of this canon for Kirby and just be,
Waffle House somehow
the
got
Kirby lore.
Exactly. But as far as extra games I've been playing, many people know I've been kind of on a retro game collecting kick, and a game import came in this week from Japan that I am loving. A little arcade game called Outrun. Oh, you cannot go wrong with this one, gents. You can't go wrong. One of the greatest arcade racers ever made. And I have the racing wheel, so it's actually an arcade perfect port. That's what the Saturn was. One of the things it did best was take arcade games that were around at the time and bring them over and actually upscales it to 60 frames per second. So there's some huge perks to playing it. Loving that. By the way, I just wanted to show you a comparison point. Most times the differences between US and Japanese games isn't that much in terms of the design of the box. That Outrun game, regular, just like jewel case, right? Nothing special about it. Here is a US Saturn game. Look at the chunk. Look at the absolute chunk. There's it's literally just a disc inside, but they're like, you know what? Bigger is better. We got to take up as much shelf space as possible.
That probably was really it, especially with Sega, battling out, with Nintendo for retail space, back in the day. They really fought hard to get into a place where they could share shelves with Nintendo, because for a while there, retailers were afraid to stock Sega in the stores. So,
well, that sounds like there's a loser and a winner there. But Nick, I'm pretty sure you can tell our listeners where there's two winners in this situation.
Where there's always a winner, Brad. That's right, two winners. That's it. Of course, our amazing sponsor, Winner Live Arcade. Guys, they are the official sponsor of the QTB network, and we love them to death. Make sure you check out the app. The link to download it is in our bio if you're watching right now on TikTok, or you can even go over to, if you're watching this or listening to this podcast afterwards, go to the show notes. The link to download is there, because the live trivia has never been more exciting. They got multiple live trivia sessions per week, different themes. They had a Star Wars night. They had a video game night that we, QTB, actually host. And coming up this week, a very special guest. I've been doing most of these, y'all, but we've got Joel, a.k.a. Kung Fu Penguin, holding down the fort there for our 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific trivia session coming up tomorrow. That's Wednesday, February 22nd. So if you want to check that out, make sure to stop on by Winner Live Arcade, download that app, and then when you're done, play some of the best claw machines that you're going to find with amazing prizes that you can win, lickety-split. And when you download with our link, your first win is free. You get to play until you win for free. You won't find that with the competition, so check it out. And thanks, as always, to our amazing sponsors at Winner Live Arcade. Of course, don't forget to go to pay.app.winnerwinner.com and use promo code WHATITDO to get a bonus 45% tokens on your next purchase. Links in the bio or in the show notes. There you go. Thanks, as always. Yeah.
I mean, Nick, you're so good at that. I'm trying to get better about those segues. I'm working on it. I saw you get there, and I jumped in, and I said,
you beat me to it.
Go for it.
You do the same show enough times. Eventually, you start to, it takes time. It really does. But guys, look, our first big story is coming from The Verge, and this is a very concerning one if you are a fan of just gaming in general. It is breaking news because, game preservation is a conversation that we have so often with video games. And this story talking about how the classic version of Angry Birds has been announced. It's going to be delisted from the Google Play Store and then renamed on the App Store to not have the words Angry Birds in it at all. So, this is happening on Thursday, very soon this week. And the idea of this is that they have announced that the game is having an impact on their wider games portfolio. That's developer Rovio announcing today. You can't make this up. I would hope so. It's the game that put them on the map. And now they're trying to find a way to get as far away from it as possible. Now, one has to assume the reason for that is that they've been making new Angry Birds games, right? But when you search for Angry Birds on these stores, what's going to pop up first? The original, right? The most downloaded, the most popular. People don't want to try, I guess, these new games or spin-offs that they're coming up with, and that doesn't gel with their monetization or scaling or revenue, I guess. I mean, Brad, you're the money guy. I mean, when you see this, do you think that's kind of the direction they're going in, or do you see something else at play?
No, let's think about this. Angry Birds initially came out in 2009. Okay, let's just process that. It's been almost 14 years. Okay,
holy smokes.
if you look at the way the market was that time around mobile games and the app store, right? Microtransactions had not caught fire yet, right? The concept of a microtransaction wasn't even like just wasn't in our vocabulary.
And not only that, Brad, this was one of the first apps that was actually charged 99 cents. Most apps at the time were free in terms of like games, and this was one where they had the audacity to charge, it was 99 cents, and then they upped it later to like $1.99 because they knew they had a great game on them. So you could credit Angry Birds to kind of beginning this whole idea of mobile transactions, right? And paying for games. And then eventually now the evolution of that is buying things within those games, right? And so the fact that it hasn't come along on this journey, you got to believe they're looking at their portfolio and going, wow, if we could microtransaction monetize this game, how much money would we have made over the last 5-10 years, right?
Yeah.
And so I get why it's unfortunate, right? Because it's kind of a symbol of a time that's now going away. It's the last of its kind, right? Or from this long ago, right? To be able to pay $1 and get a fully fledged functioning game where there isn't any pay blocks, there isn't anything that prevents you from beating the game. You just get to play it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to make it hard to find this version now going forward because they want you to download the one that's free and that comes with the pay blocks and the microtransaction opportunities, because they're probably someone looked back and said, wow, if we do the cash flow statement here, if we would have had, on average, average microtransactions per app download, we would have made X amount of more money, and that we could have been developing more games or more money in our pockets, etc. So I think this is all of a conditioning to where the environment is now for mobile games, and it's unfortunate because I think there is still an audience out there who would love to go pay $4.99 maybe for a fully fledged developed mobile game that has no microtransactions, but you just get a really good quality game. But I just don't feel like that's where the mobile atmosphere is right now. I don't know, Bruno. What do you think?
I'm wondering if this is a new Coke situation. You know what I mean? Where you kind of bring it out and say, we're getting rid of it. And then you say, oops, Coke. Sorry.
Or the black can.
Yeah, we're bringing back the classic. So for those of you who don't know, in the, 80s, Coke decided to revamp their formula. And they came out with new Coke, right? Like, this was supposed to be the new flavor, and they rolled out huge marketing for it, and it flopped. Everyone hated it. And so then they backtracked and said, you know what? We're going to release classic Coke. And that's why Coca-Cola says classic Coca-Cola on it, because it's the classic formula and not the new Coke formula. Well, a lot of people thought that they did that just to boost sales. We were talking about conspiracy theories on QTB nights. We didn't quite hit this one, but this is definitely one that's up there as to whether or not, Coke really decided to sabotage their own sales in order to boost the revival of something. And you make a good point, Brad. If you're taking something off of the store, it would be really easy to come back and say, well, we're not going to get rid of Angry Birds indefinitely. It's our money maker, right? Like that'd be like, Xbox saying, I guess we're just done with Halo. Like, I don't really foresee that ever happening. So I to me, it seems like this is one of those moments where they can go back to the drawing board and say, maybe we revisit and say, we call it, Angry Birds Infinite, and we have a 10-year plan, and we're going to have microtransactions, and we're going to give really interesting armor to all the birds, and it's going to have an open world.
Oh no, don't say open world. Don't do it. I'll see you in 5 years.
I think there's so many other offerings already. There's Angry Birds 2, Angry Birds Friends, Angry Birds Journey. I think they have to show
Angry Birds
some
Forever.
validity, some ROCE on these games that they've launched that were like the the sequels, right? I think if you probably look at those sales numbers or the microtransaction values in those, they're probably really low, right? So by shifting folks to going to those games because the original is no longer available, if people who are diehard fans, they're still going to want to get their Angry Birds fix, and they're going to pivot to these other ones, and they're going to see probably an uptick in overall revenue because of this. Now, to your point, Bruno, they are going to rename it. It's going to be called Red's First Flight. So if diehard fans who don't get it by Thursday, you can probably still go find it. It's just going to be a bit harder to get to. Yeah. So I don't think that, they're going to make it difficult for you to go find that original game. But I would say if you don't own it yet, if no one's ever bought it, do it before Thursday. Right, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, delisted doesn't mean that you can't own it, right? So that's one nice, at least one perk, because I literally still have Flappy Bird installed on my phone, even though I got a new phone, because I still have it downloaded before a certain time, so it's part of my library.
That's worth some money there, Nick.
People thought it would be, and that didn't pan out. I will admit, I checked.
Play the big game in the arcade like we did out in Vegas, courtesy of Winner. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I kept bonking my head. I was not good at that.
That game, something was up with that, because there was always that little like video hiccup for like 1 second where it would freeze and then you couldn't keep up with it. So maybe it just wasn't well maintained. But obviously, it's like, Brad, it's alarming when you say that this game is from 2009. I hadn't even looked that up. How fast time flies. But you're talking about movies. The whole thing has been franchise merchandise to all get out. But I just think, from a game preservation standpoint, there's a lot of concerning aspects of this, because it's very much a conversation with console gaming, this move to digital in so many ways, where the disc is a little more these days, if you even have one, than just saying, hey, you have access to this game, now download it and update it, because you can't, day one patches will exist for every game in perpetuity. But what happens is with mobile games is you don't have a lot of those luxuries, right? Where now that game is tied to that account. So now down the road, there's no way to transfer the ownership of that to somebody else, even if you have. There's a whole different set of problems that's going to come. And, you would need that kind of phone to play it.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's tied to a specific phone too, like you said, maybe a specific number or something like that. Things were really weird back in the day.
Revive my iPhone 4, replace the battery. I want to play Angry Birds.
That's right.
Yeah,
I can see that. There's going to be a revival of old phones.
Good news. The news just broke that a factory sealed version of the original iPhone only sold for $70,000. So if you wanna re-up down the road, it'll cost you close to six figures. That's a steal.
Can we just go to Rovio and ask them to republish the game for less money than that?
Yeah.
If I'm willing to pay $70,000 for an OG iPhone, I'd probably be able to say, hey, can you just republish the game or, relist it so I can pick it up real quick?
Give me access. Yeah. Well, at the same time, I think it's also a chance, because these especially the Google Play Store, it's people have pretty easy access to create and publish apps there. Someone's going to find a way to pick up the slack in a creative way.
Well, but I guess to your game preservation comment, it does seem like there's kind of some lack of boundary. It's kind of the wild, digital west when it comes to mobile games and what boundaries there are for game preservation. I wonder in itself, have we ever thought about or questioned what is the lifespan of a mobile game? What was its original intent? Is it meant to last forever, or is it kind of one of those flash in the pan moments where you play it while you're on the John, or you're playing it while you're in the car, or you know what I mean? Is there sustainability with mobile games?
Yeah, exactly. Bruno, you're muted.
I pressed the wrong button.
Happens.
That happened. You make a good point, Brad. That is really a key thing. I would say that they have to know that what the numbers are for who's playing their game, right? You'd think if you haven't downloaded Angry Birds by now, then you're probably not gonna play it. This might prompt you to do so, or have people scramble to spend a few bucks on the game to get that last little bit of money. But I don't know. I think that I think you're right that I wonder how much game time people are doing on mobile right now that is of a significant amount in terms of people who actually make purchasing decisions, right? Is this something you just hand over to your kid and you say, here, play this for a little bit while we wait in line at the bank? Or is this something that you like genuinely like spend your time playing and actually want to, contribute to the growth of the development of the game, or, whatever it may be? I don't know. When I see people, when I think of people on their mobile phone, I think of social media. And I would imagine that if anyone looks up their usage on their phone, which most, you can do, you can see how much time you devote to each app, that the top is not any game. It's never going to be a game. I would venture to say it has to be some form of social media. So the playtime that these games are getting on mobile has to be few and far between in general. So to me, it's kind of this enigma to me as to why so many of these mobile developers haven't shifted over to do something on PC or to develop something else outside of the mobile sphere with that. I don't know. I don't know if there's a place for that, or if, that's just something that doesn't translate well.
Because more people own a phone than anything else, right? I mean, let's just see. The phone has become mainstream. Most
even
people
a computer
now have a cell phone, right? Yeah. And have ability to click an app store and go find something. And in most cases, they're much cheaper than investing in a platform game, a AAA platform game, whether it's on PC or console, right? But I would argue, though, that those folks who are more dedicated gamers are going to be wanting something different than what a mobile game delivers, right? And I think the Switch has really cut into that market, because now all of a sudden you can take the Switch on the go and you've got full-fledged AAA titles in your hands on the go. I mean, look at us when you're in Vegas. Both of you guys had brought your Switches, and we were able to play that in the hotel room after we were done with our day, and that was amazing. We played Mario Kart. I mean, we just busted out the library, and it was great. We didn't need our phones to play a game, right? And for us to be able to connect and play that seamlessly, you wonder what type of market there is for, to me, if I'm a mobile game developer, this is just me, I want something quick, fun, and easy. I don't want to go deep in development. I don't need something that has a lot of, turns and twists and levels. Like, something that's classic, fun, and repeatable and replayable. So if I'm in line, I can beat a couple levels and I'm satisfied and I feel happy going to whatever I was going to go do.
I think the last time we had something like that
over and over again, it's frustrating. I feel like the mindset is very different.
And I think the last time we had something like that, in my opinion, was Wordle. And that didn't require you to download anything, but it completely swept everything, right? If you want to, call it a mobile game, most people were doing it on their phone, because like you said, that's where most of the market is. And so, and that could be done on desktop. And so there's that translation, right? You didn't need a phone in order to do that. Angry Birds was the first game that came out that you needed a phone, an iPhone at that, to play the game, because it was only on iPhone when it first released. This was back in the day when, iPhone obviously was the first, real smartphone to come out in terms of like what it was presenting. And then other, companies followed suit with things that, tried to be competitive, but weren't quite there. Now we're in a space where if you're not developing
saturation
for both platforms, then you're not doing it right. So we don't even have to worry about.
Sidebar, mini crossword, if you guys haven't picked up on that yet, super fun.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's just like it's like a little 8x8 or 10x10. It's like 4 down and 4 across, and it's just quick, and you try to do it within like 5 minutes. So if you're looking for something new like Wordle but something different, mini crossword's the way to go.
There you go.
I like that. Yeah.
For the short attention spans out there. I mean, to kind of sum it all up, I mean, Bruno, you had asked about why these companies may not transition over to console gaming. I mean, I think some end up trying more so like developers in the space and not so much the companies when they transition from one project to the next. But I believe we've already passed the point where the mobile gaming industry in terms of revenue has handily eclipsed other aspects of it. And I think that's at the end of the day, that's the problem, right? If you look at this from Rovio's perspective, they are offering a game that you said was like $1.99, right? With no additional monetization. Well, now the company has grown, right? They've had huge growth, and the payroll is higher. Now they've got all these other people that need to be compensated. And when you look at that, now to scale, you've got to move people on from your biggest franchise onto other games. This is not a problem that consoles have, where searching for Super Mario Odyssey is going to pull up the original Super Mario Brothers. It's even if it was, they'd still charge full price. Let's be honest. But now the problem becomes that they want you in these newer games that have a far greater monetization models, where they want you to spend $20, $50, $100 on in-app purchases on a live service game as opposed to a one and done. That's always going to be the first thing, right? Even kids these days, I'm sure when they think Angry Birds, they're going to want to play Angry Birds, not Angry Birds, 20XD6 Extreme Deluxe Turbo Edition.
Yeah. We want Lego. We don't want Mega Blocks, right?
We don't. Or Duplo. Get out of here with the Duplo. Yeah.
Well, that's for little kids.
I know. I know. Exactly.
That's for little kids.
I'm grown now. Okay, Mom.
Angry Birds Ohio Vinyl Chloride Edition.
Oh, Angry Birds Ohio. You don't want that
It's
version.
extremely toxic. You don't want to play that.
Extremely toxic. Oh my gosh. Well, interesting conversation. And I mean, I guess we'll see. Could it be a publicity stunt? What happens next? But yeah, if you want the game on Google Play, you've got until Thursday. So gets to steppin', y'all. But in the meantime, always want to say, as always, thank you so much to our amazing friends over at advanced.gg. Better gets to steppin' over there, because advanced.gg has got amazing powder, supplements, and even canned drinks with the first ever clinically proven ingredients that improve mental performance when gaming. Guys, I just got in new flavors, the melon cream pop. Oh, it's tasty. And of course, the cotton candy as well just got restocked. Great energy blends. And of course, when you use promo code QTB at checkout, you'll save 10% site-wide on all their products. Shakers, cans, you name it. Stop on by, and like I said, the nice thing is there's no fillers, there's no chunky aftertaste. It goes down easy, it tastes great, and it actually has been clinically proven to quicken your decision-making and focus your gaming skills. And when you're gamers in your 30s like us, we need every chance we can get to come out on top, because the lobbies aren't getting any less sweaty. All right? That's all I'm saying. So check them out. Thanks to our amazing friends over at advanced.gg. Good stuff. And I mean, I'm telling you, we need the edge. We need the edge, don't we, Bruno?
I do. I need every competitive edge that I can get. That's why I use the Razer Wolverine Ultimate Edition with the back paddles. I've been trying to get Brad on that train for years, and this man just outright refuses.
Ain't happening.
I'm a man of the lawless old west, man. I run on the OG, okay?
He's missing out on the customization that you can do. Like,
I'm pretty sure our followers know that doesn't slow me down when it comes to us picking up the dubs on Fortnite. That's all I gotta say.
And my response to that is, I just wonder what he could do with a Ferrari instead of a Kia.
Right.
Like
a Kia Forte. Yeah. Shout out to Kia Forte. That's my car. Yeah. Tyson, Kia, and Frederick. What up?
There we go.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. But yeah, so guys, our next story is coming from, and this is one that I think is a good sign for this whole situation with the Activision Blizzard being acquired by Microsoft. This story coming from IGN that Microsoft is striking a deal to bring all Xbox games to GeForce NOW. The deal will resolve NVIDIA's concerns about Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So essentially, here's what's happened, right? We've had this, and it's going to be years in the making, probably still, just at the rate that it's been going with the obstructions. But Microsoft has been making every attempt to show goodwill and good faith in ways that they didn't have to. There was the issue earlier. We talked before about them offering, it was breaking news at the time, offering Nintendo the ability to have Call of Duty games for the next decade if they want them. And Bruno, you had said that deal had just been penned recently, right? It's formalized. It's happened.
Yeah. So not only have they like formally agreed now. Like before it was just kind of like a verbal statement, now it's like, it's like binding.
Yeah.
I think it also shows the goodwill. They've even had Tencent recently come out and give support for this deal. And they've also basically kind of shot down these suggestions that maybe they could split up Activision Blizzard. They're just like, that's just really not a good idea for either of those companies. They kind of need each other and have for a long time. And on top of all of that, now we're finding out that there have been some talks between Sony and Microsoft behind closed doors at this recent meeting. So, I honestly think that they're looking for that deal, right? They're looking for a deal because it's all about Call of Duty. To say it's about anything else is completely foolish and really naive, because it's the only thing that PlayStation ever mentions. And it's the one thing that they've talked about. And if any smart person looks at that, I know Brad would agree with me, it doesn't make fiscal sense to withhold Call of Duty to your own platform. It's sold more copies, twice as many, in fact, on PlayStation than it did on Xbox. Why would you want to take that away if you already own the IP? You're going to be getting the residuals, right? Like that eventually funnels up towards you. So I don't understand why they don't realize that. It's like this makes total sense from a Microsoft standpoint to go ahead and acquire this. I don't know. What do you think, Brad?
Well, I mean, kind of thinking back to just this specific article about GeForce Now, you look at how this evolved, right? The deal gets announced. Microsoft is acquiring Activision Blizzard. Sony immediately raises the red flags, whether they did themselves or pushed it through the channels, with the, obviously with the different agencies, right? You've got the, the Federal Trade Commission here in the U.S., the Competitions and Markets Authority in UK, and even the European Union. They're all raising the caution flags, right? But then Microsoft got smart. Okay, the gripe here is that we're eliminating competition. We're becoming a conglomerate. We're going to be the only game in town when it comes to these titles, right? Well, what did they start doing? They looked at the argument and they picked it apart and they said, well, if you're not going to do a deal with us, we're going to go do a deal with everyone around you to make it clear to you that we're not trying to eliminate any one person, right? Mm-hmm. So deals with Nintendo, GeForce Now, who is essentially a competitor in that digital space, right? In cloud gaming, right? Oh, we're going to give you a 10-year deal to have all of our PC games on your platform.
Yeah.
Didn't have to do that, but that is just it's a brilliant strategy on Microsoft's hand to basically validate what you're saying. You're putting your feet where your mouth is, right? You're saying, hey, right, I'm doing what I told you I'm going to do, right? I'm making making our games accessible to anyone and everyone where we want it to be, because that is what we've been preaching from day one. So Sony's using a lot of their leverage here to say, hey, we want to hold out. We want this deal to fall through. It's like, well, no, jump on board. Microsoft's going to give you Call of Duty and you're going to still have that on your platform. It just, to me, this is another brilliant chess move in the long game by Microsoft to really not only just fight Sony, but also ensure that the deal goes through.
Yeah. And we want to focus in on what the actual story here is, which is that, Microsoft, like you had alluded to there, Brad, has actually penned a deal to bring all Xbox games to GeForce Now. That Nintendo aspect was already discussed. Now it's been formalized. But this was information that had not come out prior. So for those of you that may not know, GeForce Now is one of the big players right now in the game streaming space. A space that has been consolidated recently with the closure of Stadia, and many of those users have moved over to GeForce Now because it's the closest thing, that or maybe Amazon Luna are the closest kind of formats or ecosystems that you can get. How this works, how GeForce Now works is you can take any games that you own that are compatible with GeForce Now that you own on Steam, and I think maybe some other platforms as well. And then as long as you can log in with those accounts to show that you have access, you can use the GeForce Now platform to remotely play those games through their servers. And there's a subscription model where you can get access to like higher end video cards if you want to use those. And there's also a free tier. You just have to wait in line, wait your turn for that to pop up. So it's very cool because it gives you pretty much access to play your games anywhere. A lot of TVs are starting to support it. The Xbox itself supports usage of GeForce Now. It is very much, aside from xCloud, the next biggest player in the cloud streaming space, and is backed by NVIDIA. I mean, there's been some issues, some controversy with it for sure, but it's a big deal, and it's a win-win for Microsoft because you aren't just buying or they're saying, okay, we're gonna give our games over to you to let you sell them through your own. No, you have to buy these games directly through a platform that directly supports Microsoft. So really, it's a win-win. Right, Brad? Because you had said not only does it do that, but it also gives these commissions that are showing concern about this merger another reason to say, they're doing the right thing. They're doing right by consumers.
I'm quoting NVIDIA here on their website. In this article, it says, the partnership delivers increased choice to gamers and resolves NVIDIA's concerns with Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. NVIDIA, therefore, is offering its full support for regulatory approval of this acquisition. I mean, how is that not a win for Microsoft?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that was definitely agreed upon. Of course it was. That was definitely agreed upon in terms of that.
But again, that's a brilliant business move. That's a brilliant business move.
Yes, I mean, but this also this is something that I've talked about for a long time. Back when Nick said there's no way it's going to happen, and I said yes, it will. You just wait. It's the whole idea of putting Game Pass on everything that, every possible thing that they can, and that starts with TVs, right? Samsung TVs, and with a platform to have GeForce Now, they could easily go in there and say, with this new partnership to do, to this commitment, right? To have this greases the wheels for an additional way to say, hey, how about we, have a Game Pass aspect to those types of things as well, where you can link your Game Pass account and then you can play any of the Game Pass games through GeForce as well, right? Like, this is that next step for Xbox. We've talked about how they really are trying to allow mobility for gamers in a more organic way, instead of, forcing people to say, okay, well, you're going to have to play on this, the Nintendo Switch, right? Or the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
And I think the length of the commitment signals that, right? It's a 10-year deal. It's not a 2-year deal, a 4-year deal. It's a 10-year deal. That spans life cycles of consoles, new development of other, like you said, options, Bruno, whether it's directly on a TV or at some other platform. This allows that partnership to embrace and innovate when it comes to expanding Game Pass and the accessibility of those games to these other platforms. I mean, it's and said that all of them are 10-year deals. There's definitely a window of time here for this to be really interesting, right, Nick?
Yeah. I mean, it really is just another step in what we've been talking about countless times on the podcast about, it's unfortunate that we're at this point where we have to wait this long for some kind of resolution to this. I mean, I had read the article recently about how Activision Blizzard is not doing well right now. And I think this limbo is making things exponentially worse. There was an all hands on deck meeting that happened recently, where all these major issues happened. It was a remote meeting where they were basically given a lot of ultimatums, like, hey, you need to return to work, that kind of mandate, and some concerns about just a number of issues with the way that they're handling favoritism and that kind of thing. And basically the article goes on to say this meeting was a disaster, and a lot of low-level employees at Activision Blizzard feel devalued. And so if it reaches the press at that much from a single meeting, you shouldn't have to see that kind of press release come out from a company these days, but it did. You have to wonder, the longer that this goes on, that this gets stuck, where people don't know what their future is going to look like that are within this company, what damage can that do, as opposed to if it were approved today. I don't think we necessarily explore that aspect because there's so many components and moving pieces and real life people with careers, jobs, and families that are potentially affected by this. Will it or won't it, right? It's interesting to cover. It's interesting to speculate, but I just see there being a lot of actual consequences that we may not initially consider beyond just the gaming aspects of it. That I'm really hoping that, some acceleration comes from this because it just seems like every regulatory body that can, throw their weight around has decided to do so when there are far bigger companies in different spaces, telecommunications and media corporations, was it Viacom, CBS, that kind of thing, and Warner Brothers snapping up everything in sight.
Yeah.
Time Warner. That I just really have to wonder, and I think we've talked about this before about the lobbying money that's coming that we suspect is coming from certain people
100%.
to grease palms and cause there to be problems where there didn't need to be. Overall, I'm just disappointed by this limbo, and I hope that if you're going to give a yes or no, or let's find a quicker way to do it, for heaven's sake. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, and I got some cherry on the top of that sundae. PlayStation, if you're that adamant about touting your exclusives, then you need to rest in those laurels, right? Like that needs to be your bread and butter. So. If you think that your exclusives and your fan base agrees that you've got the best exclusives, then why does this merger matter so much? Why is it that big of a deal to you? Why haven't you stated, why didn't you care when you lost Crash Bandicoot? Why didn't you care when you lost Spyro? Why didn't you care, when you lost the titular characters that made PlayStation what it was in the fight against Nintendo, which is exactly what you were trying to do, throughout the entire thing. If that's my point, right? Like if you're that rested in it, then by all means, continue to put out amazing exclusives and don't worry about it. Don't worry about what the Activision Blizzard thing. It doesn't really affect you.
Well, yeah, interesting topic, and just another cog in this wheel and this ever evolving puzzle that seems to just keep getting larger by the day. But stay tuned because it seems like the news with this just continues to break, and we will continue to cover it as the developments come in. And by that, I mean whenever the next Tuesday comes, following that news. But of course, the conversation always continues on places like our amazing Discord, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But in the meantime, let's give a big old shout out to our amazing Patreon supporters. I'm talking about our QTB and Fuego tier. That's going to be Epic Action Productions, Matt.Bat, Caitlin, Courtney, Megan, Ashley, and Andrea. And of course, our QTB Plus supporters. That's Nick, the Dudist Monk, Indie Gamiacs, Alan Abadessa, Mr. Grove Games, The Intergalactic Pinecone, Fluffy Bunny, Terry the Kitten, and Maddie. Hey, you out there in internet land, if you'd like to support us for as little as $2, you don't need the actual bill. It can be, we don't accept cash. We don't accept cash, but we do accept, you can pay with Cash App. I don't know how the internet works anymore. Just go to patreon.com/quitthebuild. Thank you, Tim. Tim gets it. And support us for as little as $2 a month. We have amazing content like our QTB Nights monthly episodes. As we talked to before, I mentioned before, we talked about conspiracy this month. It was a ton of fun. And of course, at the $5 tier and up, you get exclusive merch that you can't get anywhere else. So check it out today at patreon.com/quitthebuild. Link in bio. Or if you are listening on to this podcast on whatever platform, to check the show notes for that link. How about that? Yeah. That's how Patreon works, y'all.
How about that?
And yeah, we also have a website. It's quitthebuild.com. What's on there? Tell them, Brad.
There's a ton of things on quitthebuild.com. You can go check out our new merch page, qtbshop.com. Check out some of the new merch that's on there. I mean, I'm a personal fan favorite of the Devil's Bradvocate shirt.
Yes.
But, there's something there for everyone. Nick's repping that the retro QTB shirt there on screen if you're watching here tonight. We've also got a great blog if you want to find out some cool articles about the gaming industry. We've got, Terry and Justin. We've got a ton of contributors who have given us great content on there. I mean, and then go find links to our community. Join our community, join our family, be a part of the QTB family. We want to have you. We welcome you. Check us out, quitthebuild.com.
Nice job holding it down there. Got the whole thing. It's all there for you. Check it out. And yeah, join our growing Discord community. We've got it going on. We've got the merch. We got the family, and we got the streams and everything, man. For goodness sake.
I think Bruno put some. There's some free or QTB images if you want to rep the brand on your computer,
on the
your
community
phone.
Page. That's right.
On the community page, we've got some QTB logos there for you. We've got. I know some listeners have already gotten a chance to take that and rep that on their socials. So that's a great way to show that you're part of the family. Go on there, check them out, and add them to your profiles wherever you see fit.
There you go. All right. Well, I think that about wraps things up here for the old podcast. Bruno, you want to give them that thing that ends it?
Oh yeah, I could press the
cue
thing
the supermarket sweep outro.
Okay.
Surely he wouldn't do it 3 episodes in a row, Brad.
Are you tempting me? What is this psychological damage that you're doing to me right now?
Emotional damage.
That's exactly what I thought.
Emotional damage.
That's right. To be fair, it's a Bob. I'm not going to be upset if you do it. It's just, you pick the song.
Okay, well, I'm going to pick one of these random Fall Guys.
Okay. That works.
Yeah, sure.
We stream that.
Yeah, okay. I like it. You dig it? Yeah. Here we go. For Nick and Brad, I'm Bruno.
For Bruno and Brad, I am Nick.
Happy Mardi Gras for Bruno, Nick, and Brad.
Peace out.
Quit the Build.